Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Managed Sales Pros Tuesday Talking Points. My name is Carrie Simpson. I am the founder and CEO of Managed Sales Pros, and with me today is Danish Purnhauser, the CEO and founder of Reframe Your Clients. Danish, how are you today?
I'm doing absolutely well. Thank you very much, Ray. Okay, how about yourself?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking. It's a little chilly here in Manitoba. I heard that it snowed where you are.
Yeah, exactly. We had like a big blizzard yesterday when we were, dealing with the turkey. So that was kind of great, but kids was able to have some snowballing and stuff. Cool.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Exactly. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well.
Thank you. So I just want to start with a little bit of housekeeping. On the right-hand side of your screen, you will see a box where you can enter questions and let us know if there is any technical difficulties. So if at any point throughout the webinar today you've got a question for the presenter or for myself, or you just want to let us know that perhaps the audio is off or there are any other technical glitches, go ahead and type that into the box on the right-hand side. And we will I will save your questions until the end of the session. So go ahead and type them in as you think of them, and then I will deliver them to Danish at the end so that he doesn't have to interrupt the flow of the presentation. So welcome to Tuesday Talking Points, and today we are discussing how to create a scalable and profitable virtual CIO offering. So Danish, I'm going to let you take it from here.
Yeah, thank you very much. So basically, like I guess we should have some like basic stuff here, like what's the problem of the virtual CIO services we have as managed services, what's the need, why people are quite excited about that, and how it's going to shape the future of the managed services. So let's see the problems, and after that we can go into like details and how to develop and stuff, but I want to make sure like everybody's on the same page on that, right?
Okay.
So the question is like, Carrie, is like, I guess you learn this managed service, market from an outside perspective because you are not a managed service. But actually, what's happening is like this is a typical, business model or managed services are operating, and basically we have to share, or managed services have to share their slice with other components, other type of service providers. And if I can ask a question like, how do you see, Carrie, this kind of business model was look like 10 years ago? Like how big was the influence of the managed service on a client end than today, if you have any guess?
Well, I would estimate, and again, I've only been working with managed service providers for 3 years, so going 10 years back would be challenging for me. But the way I envision the change, or at least even the change I've seen in the last 3 years, is traditionally you would have had an IT provider, probably not a managed service provider, but an IT solution provider that you went to with all of your IT-related requests, and they would respond to them. And now I think what's happening is companies are going to several different sources to identify applications for their business, and they're coming back and reactively saying, hey, we bought this, and now you have to deal with it.
Exactly. So as the whole industry matured, these traditional IT, how to say, like IT infrastructure provider who is managing all these software, hardware components, network devices, and everything like that, it's actually get like less and less and less, how to say, market share for a client, because they have to spend more on, business intelligence, reporting, ERP, line of business application. So as the last 5-10 years, as IT get more mainstream for a client, actually the infrastructure gets somehow to the periphery, because that's basically not a big issue today. So having like a computer set up and running, it's not a big issue. Having a fast server is not a big issue. So those type of problems client had back is basically not happening today. So that's like the kind of leading to the problem of eroding margins, differentiation, like why I'm better than the rest of the competition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because like we have trained staff. Cool, right? So like everybody can say the same thing. We have best customer support 24/7. We have NPS, Net Promoter Score 95. Great. But what, right? So it's not really engaging. So what's happening is like most of these managed services started to think about how to become like one source of everything for IT for their customers, and that's basically this type of virtual CIO or account management role, what they are incorporating to make sure they are on the they are next to the table or on the table when they make decision about what line of business application they are going to have or how to create the budget for IT. So it's basically more managerial role rather than like a normal IT, service provider's role. And what do you think is, why is it happening, Carrie? So why do you think is like is important for managed services to actually react on that problem?
Well, I think if they're not going to, well, okay, so when you say react, I kind of think that they're going about it the wrong way if they're reacting to it. Like if you're going to approach it proactively, which I hope is where our webinar is going today, you're going to be able to have a hand in what your clients decide to purchase and implement versus having to reactively clean up after them.
Exactly, and most of the time, like the managed service provider is going to get a call and, hey, I had this new system set up, and they are requesting a new server. Okay, so I didn't make the decision. I didn't have them to make a decision. I was an outsider, so that's a reactive stuff, and you can go back and complain to the customer like, hey, I should be asked for before you make a decision, right? So actually what's happening is the complexity of a client environment is so huge now, and the impact of the IT is so huge now is actually they need more and more and more, not IT managed service, to be honest, not infrastructure service, but IT management service. How to choose different applications, how to play with different vendors, how to implement a successful project. So like Ken, like you are growing your businesses really, really fast. Can you tell me what was the last IT project you've been involved with your company?
We're currently reviewing our voice over IP platform and our CRM platform with our managed service provider to see where we want to go in the next couple of years.
Yeah,
So,
perfect.
I mean, we try to practice what we preach here. I mean, our MSP probably wasn't delighted that they had to support some legacy programs that we brought along to the party that they weren't necessarily experienced in supporting. But the long-term plan is, at what point does it stop making sense to use a cloud-based solution? At what time, when do we need to start using an on-premise solution? Are there better options than we're currently exploring? I mean, we use vendor management as a service a great deal with our MSP. So we want a single throat to choke. We want a single phone call. We don't want our callers trying to deal with why their Office 365 isn't working or why the call center won't dial out. Like, we don't want them trying to solve that problem. We want the MSP solving that problem. So we were very fortunate that we engaged with a firm where they said, we're going to handle that from now on. Like if there's a problem, the first call is to us, and then we will make all the other subsequent phone calls to get things fixed, which is phenomenal.
Exactly, and it's kind of interesting that you don't have the type of problem which a normal MSP can react because you didn't have any problem with your IT. You didn't have a slow server. You didn't have a slow connection. You did have a business problem that you've been growing, and you were able to have like a meaningful conversation with your managed service who was able to, or who is happy to you to proceed, right? So that's the biggest, and most of the managed services carry it's a hard work to actually put together something what your managed service is putting together for you, like understanding your business, understanding your situation, understanding your need, right? So that's the kind of evolution of where this industry is going.
Yeah, when you think about it, we're a fairly new business, so everything that we did everything as cheaply as possible for as long as possible, and we needed an MSP that understood that we weren't going to go into debt for it. So, I mean, we ran our business for our first year on Chromebooks, right? Chromebooks and voice over IP, and when those Chromebooks broke, we threw them in the garbage.
Exactly. You didn't need a traditional managed services like all these firewalls and all the backups and everything because you started in cloud immediately. So that's really interesting. So you are the kind of typical client, to be honest, most of managed services dream of, but they actually can't get you on their Rolodex and they can't really serve you. So that's the biggest issue. Why is it happening? And that's based on the 5 common mistakes we see that many services are doing to actually prevent this type of stuff happening. So let's
Danish, you
go
want to
in.
know, like, one thing I want to share is that we work with over 30 MSPs at a time, and only 2 of them in the entire history of our relationships have asked for our business. Like,
Okay.
we were like the perfect client, but nobody ever said like, hey, what are you guys doing for your managed services? So just anyone who's on the call right now, are there people in your network right now whose business you should be asking for? Don't all of you call me
Wow.
tomorrow. I have an MSP. I really like them. It's cool. But there's got
Now
to be
it's done,
plenty of
right?
people in your networks already that you haven't thought of asking for their business.
And that's like exactly this is the one of the greatest example how people are not getting that money. You have to ask. Like good old days, like how these managed services were building up a business was most likely referrals.
Hmm.
95% of the natural growth was coming some clients send somebody else. But Kerry, like what's happening now is the scope or the subject of referrals are kind of done because like when you are going to really refer your managed services to somebody you are golfing with, when they have some kind of problem, like if the problem is visible, I have a slow internet, I have a slow server, like we screw up something, or our MSP screw up something, that's a visible problem, you can refer your service provider, right?
Correct.
Right now, most of these golfing, you don't really get these type of great stories because nobody has this kind of visible problem. Your business growing problem and how to leverage that with voice over IP and stuff like that, that's not a visible problem. You are not telling stories about that. That's why people and managed services are getting less and less and less referrals because actually the problem which created the referral is not exist anymore or not in that extent. Does it make any sense?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of ways that you could go about building your referral network. You can't passively wait for them to come to you anymore, or you're missing an enormous segment of the market.
Exactly. It's and that's one of the mistake we are going to see. But see the first actually, it's the virtual CIO. So we are talking about the virtual CIO services, which is like an add-on to the traditional managed services to make it more businessy, make it more managerially. So solve the client's real business issues, right? And what was happening is if you see that in currently, if you ask like a managed service who is not having any virtual CIO services, or they have. If they have if they have virtual CIO services, what's happening is they bundle together to their higher-end managed service or something like that. So they have a limited budget for $125 per month per user, for example, and they squeeze the virtual CIO service there. Where do you see the problem start coming?
Well, they're behaving reactively.
It's like no definition what the hell is this vCIO is, right, in the
Mm.
first place. Second thing is profitability. Like vCIO is not a cheap resource. Giving away, it's not really wise. So why is it happening is basically is just a kind of question of maturity. And that's like, this is the typical maturity scale for the vCIO services. Usually people start it like an ad hoc free advice, like Carrie's asking the managed service, hey, we need a new CRM, can you help us? What the managed service is going to say?
Of course.
Sure, no worries, I will be there. And what they do, basically chatting something, but they have no process how to help a client to find a CRM solution professionally. They have no questions to ask from the client when they feel they need a new CRM. They have no process to actually evaluate whether the client is eligible to have a CRM or not? Can they actually implement the solution or not? So basically they don't have anything. So most of the managed service what they did was like they put this to the managed service package thinking that we can actually do that some way. But when they realize like how much work is it to actually have the client in that way, they realize that they cannot really comprehend that anymore because it's eroding the margins. So that's why you create a new and separate managed service package for that called vCIO, which you sell on top of the other services. So that's the kind of way to move forward rather than just add it without any specific circumstances.
So no more free advice.
It's like I like free advice. It's good for a good Samaritan, but we try to be a disciplined professional services who can actually keep the people on their swim lanes. Like if you bought this package, you get this package. You don't get the higher-end package. Most of the managed service can't keep the clients in the swim lanes or the packages they offer because they just can't manage that. It's kind of hard. It's hard to productize your services that way, right?
Yes.
But you can make decision. Free advice is great for a cause, but probably not for the growing business. The second, problem here or mistake here is that we claim that we are your IT department and we do the typical IT infrastructure layer, this green item, typical firewalls and backups and things like that, and somehow moving into the application layer like Office 365, a little bit of CRM, finding your to-do application or something for the client. Managing the information security is a big deal. It's like a compliance, lots of stuff there nowadays. vCIO. So most of the people are actually, if you see that, they offering some level or some extent of those for service offerings, and they call it managed service. And again, for example, some engineering firm with more complexity, they need lots of security, they need lots of ECI, they need lots of application management of that. But some basic line doesn't really need so much about information security, some extent of application management, probably some vCIO, but they need a rock solid backend. So how you can make decision on what client need how much of those different services if you have only one package.
So instead of offering the platinum or the gold or the silver, people should be customizing their offerings based on what?
Based on value proposition. So like let's say DC, the problem here is like the value proposition for managed services was like 10 years ago, keep your lights on. That was great. That was all the infrastructure. That was some kind of little security, antivirus and things like that. But what's happening now is the biggest issue is you have another value proposition here, another problem set, another solution set. Problem, solution here, problem, solution there. Now your managed service program, if you include everything, it has no edge. It has no value proposition. It has everything, but nothing. Right? So it's kind of hard to differentiate from somebody else. If you say, you know what, I have 4 line of business, I have the managed service, I have the application manager, I have the security, and I have this vCIO, for example, you are able to sell to the client in a way that, okay, based on my understanding, you need the highest package for the infrastructure layer because you need that. You don't need application layer today. You need some sort of basic information security, and you need a basic vCIO. What I do is I start business with you, Carrie, and I keep upselling you to the higher end packages later when you have the maturity and the need for that. And that's how I can actually raise the business. Because other than that, if you have just only one package, what you end up doing is you are customizing the one package for 50 contracts for 50 different occasions. Then you have like 50 different packages, not one.
Yeah, if there's one thing I've learned over the last 3 years is it's really difficult to scale exceptions.
Oh, that's basically it is. If you are not able to because the problem is a misconception here, like most of the people thinks if they have one package, they are selling one package. but they actually not, right? Because they have to customize that one package for customer by customer. But the engineer will know what they customize, probably not. Do they have a setup expectation? Probably not. They don't know the success, when they get success, when they don't. These expectations are changing, week by week. So that's like which is make hard to actually scale up like a business, and the exceptions are not good for here. So I don't know it's make any sense or not, but what we feel and what we see on the customer base is like getting just like not breaking down the services tomorrow. You start communicating with new prospects and clients in these 4 ways and elaborating your value and what the requirements are now. It's really, really, really strong, because don't forget one thing, this is the only commodity here, Carrie. Like IT infrastructure management is a commodity. Everybody can do that. RMM, PSA, bang, no question. Application layer, like really consulting on the client, different solutions, managing the security, we say, is not commodity anymore. It's not a commodity. But you are making your full package commodity, calling it managed service, and focusing on the internal green item.
I think that's a nice segue into how do you sell a commodity versus how do you sell something that has a unique value proposition. Right. So one of the things that we have found that is most effective now is, first of all, still nobody knows what managed services means.
Yep.
Nobody, the people who are buying it from you, that means nothing to them. It's a trade show term. Right. Still to this date, people are buying IT support. They're not buying managed services. So telling people about managed services isn't that helpful. A better approach that we have found is to go into conversations asking them a couple of different open-ended questions, like what are they trying to achieve this year? Do they feel that they are doing a better job than their competitors? And what is their competitive advantage? And how are things going to change in their industry in the next few years? And are they keeping up with that? Now, those questions begin opening up conversations where you can now present things like the vCIO service and the other items that are going to make you a non-commodity, reality and perception-wise, right? Like you can't position yourself differently if the person that you're presenting to thinks that you provide exactly the same service as the thing that they're already buying.
Exactly, because the people have this kind of buckets in their head. Like they put you in their bucket in 5 seconds. Oh, okay, you are the IT guy, so you are in the bucket with all these IT geeks, right? And now you have no actually chance to actually get rid of these whole things. So you have to actually somehow create a new category for their minds. Like, okay, you are the IT manager. Okay, I get it. Right? It's different, like how you make this first impression, right? So getting more like inside this, deep of the items. Just really quickly, the good old days, we sold, $20, $25, $30,000 for just an Exchange server to make email viable, right? Mm-hmm. Then what we did a free advice. We get to the client, we get this discovery and everything, and we realize you need this Exchange server, right? So it's 25 grand. It was so profitable, it was so big that we were able to actually make the advice free. But the current reality is that the cheap SaaS stuff, like, I'm not judging, but what you are buying, Carrie, with all these VoIPs, are basically monthly subscriptions for you. You don't invest tens of thousands of dollars in a project, right?
Correct.
If somebody do a free advice on top of that, they actually can't make money. So they have to make the free advice a real advice, charge you, and the result will be your cheap software as a service solution. Other than that, this guy can't make money. But the problem now is this managed service can't go back to the client now. Hey, I'm going to charge you for that. Hey, you didn't charge, or you haven't charged that for 5 years. Why you want to charge now? So it's a kind of hard, how to actually change your clients. You can do it on the first clients, but that's going to be hard to change the perception because you sold out those opportunity already. Make any sense?
Yes.
So it's a kind of interesting way to actually leverage that. Example like Slack. Lots of clients of ours are selling Slack, which is almost a free tool, but actually the implementation, the advice, the choosing of that is like really like $3,000-4,000 worth of project. And the client is actually paying for the advice, not for the software, because software is pretty much free. So that's a kind of different approach. That's your favorite one, Carrie, I guess.
Yes, I like this slide a lot.
Why do you like that? So express that. Like, what do you see on these two little circles?
From our perspective when prospecting, the low-hanging fruit are definitely the people with the visible IT problems, right? The people who are having slow connectivity, or their server went down, or there was an issue that somebody couldn't solve or didn't solve quickly enough for their liking, and
Yep.
they're disgruntled and they're looking to make what I would describe as a knee-jerk change, right? Like, you know what, we don't like our IT provider. We're having nothing but trouble with them. Please come in and talk to us. Right? What we're finding there is that most of the time, the business that you can win when their house is on fire is not the business that you want. Right?
Wow.
People will buy water from anywhere when their house is on fire. Like, they aren't looking for a partner. They're looking for a solution to a temporary problem, and what you're looking for is a long-term partner. So quite often, to win the business, you have to, you're going to have to take them out on a couple of dates, and you're going to have to buy them dinner, and you're going to, like, I'm using that kind of metaphorically, you don't actually have to go to dinner with them, but what you're looking for is to earn the trust of a potential new prospect, and then earn the right to present your business as a solution to the problems that they're having, and slowly but surely waiting for them to make the decision to change their business over to you at a time where it makes sense for their business. Right? Most of the time, you don't want to work with a company that's going to, like, break their contract to their current provider and move on over to you really quickly. What that says to me is this company is going to do that again, and probably to you. So that's not really the sweet spot, I don't think, for managed IT services clients. You want to find companies that are in it for long-term partnerships, and that means patience.
Exactly, and you hit it on the nail, is that basically these blue complacent clients have a world-class managed service provider probably on their payroll, right? So
Yes.
that means those clients who made wise decisions, who sourced managed services, who are actually eligible for these vCIOs, actually not the people who like have like a problem in the, like, imagine like if somebody has a connectivity problem in 2016, what it tells about the company, why they haven't been able to fix it, what was the problem prior, like they didn't want to pay for the provider. They were cheap. So somehow you have to see that way. But if you see the other way, like this big blue item, which is going to be more likely potential clients who are looking for the next managed service. So probably they are complacent, they are kind of okay with their managed service, but they will be able to evaluate those managed services if they can have something which they don't get now from the managed services. And that's probably wouldn't be the connectivity, it probably would be some kind of additional service. So like a mutual, like a Canadian company did a similar way, like they actually sold the virtual CIO service to a client, to the prospect, who had a managed service. And they were able to replace this provider after 6 months because they get, in a high level, they get like a monthly recurring vCIO program standalone. They didn't touch the managed service, but they found the problems, they reported the problems, and the client wanted to make a change, and they were there. They get the trust, not the current provider. So that's a kind of Trojan horse, which, you know, kind of like managed service can use, or they can be, you know, treated this way from somebody else. So it's interesting.
Well, from a prospecting perspective, there is no, like, there's two ways to sell. You've got displacement and land grab.
Okay.
Right? So there's no land grab left in managed
No,
services. Any
exactly.
company of a certain size, let's say the attractive size for a managed services client, so call it 20 computers to 100 computers, right? Those businesses, very rarely are they not solving their problem in some way, shape, or form, right? They've already found an IT provider. You don't have to educate them. They already understand the value. That's why they made the decision that they made.
Exactly.
And now you're really just waiting out that contract. But what can you do in the meantime to keep that conversation going, or to slowly but surely start one app at a time or one offering at a time winning their business? And vCIO is a great fit for companies that maybe chose an MSP earlier on and haven't changed their relationship with them in any way. So if I started working with, let's say, an operationally immature MSP and I like them okay, now I've got 30 computers and we have a good relationship, but they haven't really changed their offering over the course of the 3 years that I've been engaged with them. Now a contract renewal is coming up and all of a sudden I get a call from a company who's discussing things that my current MSP has never presented to me in language that I've maybe never heard before. Like, that's going to be an interesting conversation for me. I'm not going to perceive that as exactly what I'm already buying.
Exactly. It's not a displacement type of conversation. I'm going to buy something new. But after that, it's going to be displacement, but the strategy is not being on the same slot and the same bucket than the other provider was. So that's perfect. I'm going to steal this displacement strategy.
I
You
have
can
more
put
slides. I'll send them to you.
Thanks. So the last mistake is like this. You know, 2007, like how many type of iPhones we have been able to buy? It doesn't matter, like iPhone or Android or something like that. It
There's
was
like
like,
2.
yeah, it was like one device with two different gigabyte storage, and now I can't count, like 5 different colors, three different, you know, size, and Jesus, like it's enormous. Like, an Apple is not stupid, right? So they don't want to create inventories, exceed inventory. So the one package approach was in the past for when the industry get mature, people are going to buy iPhones like, hey, I need this, you know, rose gold version because I'm that personality, and I need this new iPhone whatever because it has like this black whatever new color. It's just crazy people buy phones because of colors. But that's how consumers are actually making decisions when the rest of them is good enough. So in your managed services as well, if everything is good enough, they are going to buy, you know, the service because, like, who has better, nicer cars or nicer outfit or better portal or, you know, better vCIO. It's not because of they need a core business be better. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So it's kind of interesting. These are the typical mistakes I see carry people prevent to success, and what I guess is just kind of think about it. What is to solve this problem? We have to solve another problem, which is basically that. So our services, our managed services, are getting so much complex and so enormously hard to grab and put together. Like literally, a managed service provider is giving like thousands, if not hundreds, of services. Managed firewall, managed Wi-Fi, compliance, Office 365, desktop support, 24/7, remote monitoring, you name it. It's the gazillions of service which is in one bundle. What is the problem is, like, this is my favorite toy actually. I try to, you know, make some advertisement for Lego, but actually the solution of that complex service is like productizing. What's great about Lego is they have a building blocks which are standard, and you can build up anything based on those standards. Like, you have like this Lego with 3 different houses with the same set of bricks. So what the managed service has to do to be more effective to define those Lego blocks and build up different houses for the different clients, because that's how they can win the business and carry the business over for more profitability. What do you think about this productization concept, Kerry? Because, like, you have a service which is basically productized, I know that, and you were able to scale it in a crazy way. But what if you haven't been able to productize that? How would you see your business if you wouldn't do that?
Well, it would have been a whole lot more difficult to train. I mean, what makes our business as easy to scale as it is we decided to sell one thing to one group of people. And what changes is, the city changes, the market changes. Some companies want to target law firms and some companies want to target accounting firms. So we've got really the same thing that we're selling over and over again, customized just very slightly to suit the business need of the IT provider that we're working with. So for example, if a company wants to sell pure play managed services, our pitch will be a little bit different, but all of our callers are trained exactly the same. So we're able to pretty much onboard and execute within a week or two, whereas our competitors might take 2 months, 3 months to be able to get up to speed, understand what managed services is, understand how to sell it, why it's different. We know all that already, so all I have to do now is put in this, like, okay, we're selling in New York, we're selling to law firms, accounting firms, and engineering firms, and here are the 4 things this company offers, and we're going to, based on the opening question, we're going to, our decision tree goes one of 3 places, right? It's not complex anymore. It was complex figuring it out the first few times, and now we can pretty much plug and play and go.
Exactly, because what you do is like you create your little Lego blocks, you create those minimum services, what you are not going to change over time. These are going to be the same sets of processes, and we might make changes on the higher level, how we are going to package those things together. So what we have, and like just give an example, is these are like service bundles here. Service bundles means like these Lego blocks here. Like this is typically like this is a service bundle, the stuff you sell. And these are like virtual CIO Basic, virtual CIO Pro, Enterprise. It doesn't matter. It can be managed service. It can be IT security. It doesn't really matter. What matters is like you have different type of service categories, and you have different type of services. You can say like in a vCIO Basic, I don't give the client a SWOT analysis, for example, or I don't give like an IT infrastructure audit. I just give the audit for the pro customer, right? So in this case, the same thing you do, like the IT strategy planning process will be the same for all across the different service bundles, but I have different services I'm not giving to this and that customer. This is not like a kind of premium, so it's not like a gold, silver kind of thing, because you have to define many service bundles. Probably one client is going to buy 3 or 4 service bundles, and those 4 service bundles are going to, map out their old requirements, like in vCIO, lower, managed service higher, IT security a little bit in the middle, things like that. So that's how we can make this customized for a client, but we don't create customized service because we just sell different type of bundles. So that's the kind of behind the service productization. And actually, for being more scalable, you have to have 4 disciplines: develop these services, market these services, sell these services, and deliver those services in a disciplined way. Other than that, if you don't create those services and you sell something different, or you market something different what you sold, or you deliver something people didn't know how you sold, that's going to be not a scalable service for the first place, right?
Mm-hmm.
So questions, I guess, like we can jump into like actually how we do that. So we have a couple of minutes. I don't want to overwhelm your audience, but I think if someone like gone this far, we should show them actually how actually do that for the managed services and how to do that for vCIO services. So just I wanted to have.
We got 20 minutes. Keep going.
All right, always. So the main reasons, like actually we did like a research last week on our client base, and we asked like what is the reason behind productizing the services, and the main like 100% said reduce the complexity of the service business. So that was the main reason. The second reason was like better service quality. So some people saw that if I have a productized service with processes, that's going to be better quality. Stable growth for the business, like how many times you see like people crashing like 20, 30, 40% growth over a year, and they stall for 2-3 years to catching up actually the missing processes and everything like that. and actually better place for the employees as well, like how people can contribute on like a service business. So that was really interesting to see what was behind. And typically, like if somebody studies productization, okay, they can focus on the current services, like fixing the managed service, fixing the account management, fixing the IT security, what they are providing, and actually make it more productized. Or actually they are going to create something totally new like vCIO or something else which they haven't done, but they are starting actually as the productized service. And of course, both of them has advantages and disadvantages. Like if you are getting your current services, you have to touch and change those, change management needed, internally, externally. And if you have new services, you don't know the service yet. So it's a kind of challenging both ways, but you have to start somewhere. And actually the process is pretty simple, and that's what most people doesn't get from themselves. So we teach that kind of processes. Carrie, like when was your, like you probably you revamped your website like a year ago or 2 years ago, your website?
We've had the same website for since our inception, I think.
Okay,
Trying
but
to think of
actually,
what did we add? I mean, we obviously change stuff on it every month we change things on our website.
but when you started a website, wireframing is an expression coming from a web development. I
Okay.
stole it from them. I'm a good guy stealing
I
ideas.
outsource all that, so I don't know.
Okay, but what's happening usually when somebody is creating a new website, Kay, they start on a high level, think about what the structure will be for the pages, what type of, like, what will be on the main page, what's the about page, how this is going to be linked together. You are not actually creating copy or choosing pictures. You are in the high level kind of outlining, creating a wireframe, how this website is going to look like in a structure, and probably create one page for showing the customer how does it look like, it's a color good, you know, everything like that. And when the clients say, okay, that's nice, now people are, and the website developers are going to into the details and elaborate on the different items. So what's happening is the same thing here. You as a CEO, you as a product manager, you don't have to actually go to the deep of the services. That's going to be your team. You have to be able to outline what's going to be the service, what's the problem it solves, how is it going to solve the problem, and actually work on the value proposition. And then when you have the wireframe, how is it going to look like, what's going to be included, how we are going to price, then you can actually let the team understand what's going on. Does it make sense?
Yes, my team will not do anything for me now without a wireframe, so
Exactly.
I'm
So
well
that,
versed in this one.
yeah, perfect. So exactly. So that's the most important part, is to actually, for you as a who is actually designing your service company, you have to create a wireframe, and then you can somehow let others chime on that and, you know, make their ways. The traditional managed services was built up from the details. And most of the people, most of the managed service doesn't have the managed service wireframe either. They have services in different levels, they have different type of services for different clients, but they haven't gone through to be able to understand what is the initial problem, what is the client need, how is it changed, right? So that's when we usually start creating a service bundle. Let's say now we are going to create a service bundle for vCIO, just how does the wireframe look like? And let's start with a problem. That's when people get kind of confused, and we have if you know this methodology, it's called value proposition canvas. Guys, you can go to the net and check out that. It's a canvas which has two segments. One segment is the client problem, and one segment is our services, product services. And basically what it does, it's explain you like how to understand what the customer want to do. What the pains and the gains of the customer, and how is it going to turn into like a service, and how we are going to have them relieve the pain, how we are going to be able to create the gain, and what's going to be the service, right? So what's happening, and that's what's the funny, in good old days, it was a totally, how to say, easy to comprehend. The client had a problem, slow internet, no connection. What was our product? Fast connection, fast internet. That was easy, right? That was connected. Right now, your CRM problem, Carrie, and your VoIP problem is a pain for you because you would like to grow your company, you would like to get better traction, less work. That has no obvious answer. Somebody has to understand your pains and gains to create what's going to be the service for that. Doesn't make sense.
Yes.
It has to be bridged. That's why we have a consultative sales, how people call that. So for example, traditional managed service, the job was run my company, that's a client. The game they wanted to have a IT in plain English, keep me informed about stuff. We had outages, no one to ask questions. So this was the kind of client problem around the managed services. It's really not there yet or anymore. And what was the service? Oh, I need some account management, quarter business review, some reports, some backup, help desk, proactive maintenance. So that was the service bundle which we called managed service. So the managed service program solved the run my company efficiently problem. Does it make sense? So that's actually, it's not new. It was created before with the industry, but based on the mapping. Does it make sense how we map that thing?
Yeah, I understand it.
So actually, if you see the vCIO, the same thing is solving a different problem. I have a growth problem like you. I have an operation problem like you. I need more sales, smoother processes. I have low employee productivity, slow communication. So probably it can be true for Managed Sales Pro, for example, and the solution is totally different. Implement a CRM, integrate the reports you have, electronic signature for whatever reason, right? So that is leading you to actually have a virtual CIO service because virtual CIO can actually address those problems and make a solution for that. So if you start from the problem, then you can get some type of service which will solve a specific problem, which is easier to market, easier to sell. And I can count on my hand how many people I've seen gone through this super basic exercise with their company. And that's why the commoditization is happening. That's why we can't really differentiate ourselves because we actually don't know what the hell we solve for the customer, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the original basic problem. So if you have this idea, like if you map out that like in 15-20 minutes with a team, you can use like a normal chart. You don't have to use just put problems there and solutions, make it easier. But if you do that, like you can list out the services, what the services are going to solve these problems. So this is when you can outline like what's going to solve the different problem line items, and those line items can be defined later, but you are creating the wireframe again for how we are going to achieve that. And if you do for managed services, that's going to be more likely this firewall or onboarding or manage the remote network or advanced management or something like that. So that's how you create the design. And after that, you have to go through these 4 different phases to actually create the process for the service, how people are going to learn that service if you have new people, how you're going to market and sell this whole thing. So for example, a question to you, Carrie. I'm going to test you.
Okay.
So actually you have some kind of service bundles and services like you have typically because I know how you are working. You have one service bundle what you sell. Like, do you have a process and deliverables and outcomes defined of your services?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have we have things that we deliver to our clients weekly, and we have things that we deliver to them monthly. And we have a not a service level commitment, but our clients know what they're buying from us and what to expect from us every month.
Perfect. Okay, second, do you have some kind of material when I'm going to be a new cold caller in your company? You can drive me through pretty much. I'm an employee, will be pretty much trained on most of the stuff I have to do without having a high-level coaching or somebody train me personally. Do you have any type of learning material for that?
We have a portal that all new employees have to complete. And then we still have a lot of personal we still have personal one-on-one coaching. It's pretty hard to train somebody to cold call without engaging with them on a regular basis.
Yeah. So but you have a component where they can go through. So it's not like you have a curriculum, so people are going to go through that, and coach by coach, bus by bus is going to have the subordinates differently. So that's cool.
Correct.
Now you have a marketing stuff which is selling that, because we can see your website. That's pretty much streamlined on that, like what is the problem and how to solve that. And you have a sales as well aligned. That's why, because you can kind of check mark those 4 items easily, that's why you have a scalable business. That's most of these items are not like an average managed service can't tick on mark beside those. And that's how you can go back and create those items service bundle by service bundle. So you have now the problem, okay, how we are going to process that, what's going to be the education part for most people, get the marketing and the sales. Other than that, you are the vCIO, and the next vCIO is going to be never ever happening because you don't have the learning material. You can't really train that type of people just by yourself. So that's basically the scalability. And the pricing, wow, we can put the pricing now. It's really, really awesome. So the pricing is basically for these type of services are proactive pricing. So what that means, like a virtual CIO is we count the hours we spend against the customer. But what we do is like we say before that's going to happen. So each and every service line item, for example, we can define. Imagine an IT strategy planning process will be taking like 7 to 9 hours in an average. A SWOT analysis will take 2.5 hours because we have a set of service process we have to conclude every year. We have a quarterly planning process that's going to be taking like 3 hours because that's going to be every quarter this process. So if you see this in a more proactive way, now we are able to judge how much time is it going to take, and we can actually measure against that how we affect we were, because we don't have any proactive component for the vCIO. If I can have a call from a CEO, what a call I'm going to get? Hey Dinesh, I need a new CRM, right? I can say, sure, wait a sec, we have here something called business model workshop. That's going to be exactly modeling for your business how to use the CRM. That's going to 2 hours, and actually we have every year one, so we can actually have it with you next week. Then I have a service plan and I have a service line item which I can channel the people. Or it can be, hey, we have a CEO weekly huddle in this package you have. Why we don't have that, the CEO weekly huddle, like tomorrow, and spend on that issue? Or I have like a solution selection workshop, or it can be channeled to a solution selection workshop when we go through your people and actually select that. So what I can have a reactive question from a customer, but I'm able to drive and channel this stuff into one proactive item. Does it make sense, Carrie?
Yeah, what I was just thinking there is all of a sudden you're protecting your profit margin pretty aggressively, instead of your time being taken up by a client who is calling out of the blue and saying, hey, I need to talk about this with you, and now you spending your billable hours for free engaging with that person. You've already created a process where you know that you're going to be able to get your billable hours appropriately allocated.
Yes, Kerry, that's one thing. I get it. And that's totally, frankly, you see the entrepreneurial background. But what's I think a little bit more important here is to say that you don't call me because of my advice. You want to make a decision. You want to have a process that you can make a wise decision how to manage these sales with a CRM. That has to go through a solution selection workshop or solution selection process to the end, because what you are looking for is not a CRM per se. You would like to get better sales and have a system which support that. So in that sense, I'm not going to just protect my time to allocate X amount of hours, because that's going to happen anyway. I'm going to drive you that I understand what the job you want to do. It's not like what you are asking me to do. You don't want me to give you a hint whether it's Salesforce or Zoho CRM. You want to make sure you have a solution which is going to be viable and people will be engaged and we can start developing that.
So you're starting
That's
from your outcome and working backwards versus...
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly, exactly. Because in this case, like I can say like, oh, Mr. Client, the problem, in the vCIO basic package, you don't have this service. I can give that service because I know how much does it cost as a project. I can give it to you, or why we are not upgrading to another monthly plan. That's the decision. That's the conversation you have to take. That's all. If you are disciplined on that, you are going to make it happen. If you are not disciplined and you are going to do anyway because the client is asking you, you are the good Samaritan. You are not a disciplined professional. That's the cultural change you have to have. Other than that, either you have these swim lanes and you said is VCI basic, but everybody you are going to provide the enterprise because you have no boundaries or you are doing anyway, because that's the biggest mistake people are actually doing. So we have run out of the time. So I know there are lots of stuff to discover here, but my key takeaway is actually if you have a VCI problem, you can go back and see whether you are prepared for creating productized services, and productized services are going to help you to make your current business healthier and actually implement services like vCIO. So that's my kind of message.
Thanks, Danish. Have you got a contact number or email address where people can reach out to you afterwards
Yeah,
with more questions?
yeah, it's I guess kind of like if they go to the www.reframeyourclients.com website, we have tons of free education there. They can get like mini trainings. They can get like if they want to have like seeing a demo of our product or how we try to solve this problem. It's pretty simple to get engaged there. We have a chat there. You know, you name it, chat. We are trying to move or trying to lead this MSP2 movement. So we have lots of stuff going on. We are working with hundreds of MSPs, and it's really like you know, taking off, and it's a really great problem to actually solve. It's really rewarding. So.
And is there a, can you tell us a little bit about how a company would get engaged with Reframe Your Clients if they were interested in moving forward to develop these service bundles?
Yes, actually what we've been doing, Kat, like we had these services outlined in many ways. So if you would click there, that would be like a processes there. So all the stuff which I was covering here, what you should do is basically there. We have a monthly subscription model, so people can get like a small onboarding fee, and they have different packages for getting engaged. And what I feel is like one step at a time. We have lots of education, we have lots of templates, we have lots of software components. So it can help to the managed service who are just dealing with the basic managed services, how to make it more scalable. But like we are dealing with 150 people managed services as well to actually implement vCIO across 10 vCIOs in the organization. So engagement is but basically risk-free on that sense, and not a big investment needed, just a monthly subscription, that's all.
Okay, so just to recap for everybody, if you'd like to learn more about Reframe Your Clients and their services, you can go to reframeyourclients.com. And is there a form there that they can fill out if they want to get in touch with you directly, Danish?
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can sign up for a demo. I really suggest a demo. We spend like 20 minutes understanding your business and give like a presentation of 10 minutes for like how you can get this done. And you can find that many ways in the little course to action to sign up for a demo. So that's the next possible step.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It is always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Kerry, and I was learning a lot, so I was stealing some of your ideas, so sorry about that.
That's all right. I got lots more. We should do this again soon.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Kerry. That's a pleasure to do.
All right. Thank you, Danish. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for Tuesday Talking Points. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care.